So it went up 1,000%. Hi folks, it's Silver Dave at Local Silver Mint in Ware, New Hampshire, and today I have the great pleasure of having a guest, a very special guest, Captain Roy. He's a silver stacker. He's very wise, and he's been stacking silver since before I was born, and he watched when they changed the currency from silver coins to not silver coins, and he made some great observations, had a great experience. And so I'm so pleased to introduce and to have this conversation, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Captain Roy. It's great to have you here.
My pleasure.
To talk to you. Yeah, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Okay, so the first question that I want to ask is, I want to just ask about what was it that caused you to get interested in silver and to notice silver, the value of it. I remember you told me a story that, and I want to share this with our audience. And so what was it that got you into stacking silver? Please tell us.
Well, my love affair with silver began January 21st, 1980. But there's a story that has to be told first. And that would be, I had a job working in a store as a soda jerk. And I had a break one day. I went a couple stores down where my friend Rick was sitting at a table. And in front of him, he had rolls of quarters and dimes. Opened them up and said, "What are you doing, Rick?" And he says, "Well, I'm going through these to sift for silver." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He says, "Well, they changed the coins in '65 to make a supposedly silver, copper, silver sandwich, although there wasn't much silver in it." And I said, "Well, why are you doing that?" He said, "Because these silver coins are going to be worth more than the face value of what they are today. You should do the same thing." I thought about it and said, "Well, if it turns out not to be true, the only thing I'm going to do is make some forced savings." So I did it as he said, and went back and told the owners of the store what I was going to do, and they were okay with it. They knew me to be honest. I was an Eagle Scout and everything. So I started as the change across the counter. I started to take dimes, quarters, occasional $half, put them in the cigar box. It wasn't a lot, only a couple dollars, $1 or $2 a day maybe, because I was only making, I think, $1 an hour at the time. So do the math. But I did this for a couple of years, and all of a sudden, I wound up driving a pizza delivery truck when I turned 17 for the shop that Rick was at. And I took all this stuff and I put it in a metal fishing tackle box in my basement, my parents' home. I pretty much forgot about it. And graduated high school in '69, college in '73, engineering degree, went to work in the field, got bit by the flying bug, so to speak, and then eventually transitioned from engineering to flying for a career. I was visiting my parents January 21st, 1980. I was based in Boston. Anytime I had 4 or 5 days off, I would go down there. Good food. I wasn't making much money at the time. And I was reading through a newspaper. And there was a little ad down there from Glen Rock Coin Shop. That was a town next to Fairlawn. And said, "Wanted, your pre-1965 silver dimes and quarters. Pay you $4.75 for every quarter." Then it dawned on me, damn, I got a tackle box down in the basement. I don't know how much is down there. So I rushed down there and I went and counted. It was $420 worth of silver. Looked at it, thought about it, my God, this is what, 78, 79, close to $8,000. So I took all that stuff to the Glen Rock coin shop. They gave me a nice check. I think it was $7,900 and change. So, in May of 1980, I bought my first brand new vehicle. 1980 Monte Carlo, $7,900.
$7,939. And this is the actual receipt from the car.
Yeah,
So you paid with $420 face value
yep,
of silver dimes and quarters, $420 that you set aside, and then you paid $8,000. You used that, and it was $8,000 worth of silver.
yep.
So it went up 2,000%.
Yes, and one of the other reasons I remember well, January 21st, 1980, I don't know if I mentioned, it doesn't matter anyway, it was my birthday. But it was within a couple of days of gold being at $800, up from $35 back in 1972 when we closed the gold window, and silver was $50, 16-to-1 ratio. Right now we're sitting at 80. It's bumped around. It's been in the 30s, 2011, 2012. Now it's close to 80. It'll go back to 16 someday, I'm sure of it. Because historically, I mean, I think it was Sir Isaac Newton that figured out a 16-to-1 ratio based upon his analysis of the Earth's crust. So that's always a historical average before whatever. But it'll go back.
Yeah, and I think right now, if the silver price went back to 16-to-1, that would put silver at around $170 per ounce.
That's correct. With 2,400 gold, yep.
Now, I can't believe that you have this receipt still. This is incredible that you still have the receipt. Oh my goodness. And that's the car.
I was on my second date, that was October of 1980 up in Vermont. I was on my second date with my future wife,
And this is
Terry.
Terry. This was your future wife. And this picture is the second date, you and her,
Yep,
with the Monte Carlo
yep,
that you bought with $420 worth of silver coins.
yep.
Oh man, beautiful. Beautiful car, beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Wow, that is incredible.
Unfortunately, she departed. Breast cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Last year. 40 years.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's life.
You had 40 years together.
We had 40 wonderful years together.
40 wonderful years together. That is absolutely amazing.
Love of my life.
Well, I'm happy that you had found love and you had that, and that you had that car. That's one of my favorite cars. And they had them sometimes with T-tops. I really like the
Yeah.
T-tops too.
Yep.
So, wow. Well, that is, do you want me to, maybe I'm going to fold this carefully and hand back to
Sure.
you. So, thank you. My next question that I wanted to ask you is about what would you say is the condition of the financial system in America today?
One word that comes to mind right away is precarious.
Precarious.
Absolutely. I don't think people seem to realize what being $35 trillion in debt can mean. And the problem is, too, there's a conundrum of interest rates and inflation. You're trying to raise the rates to calm the inflation. But when you keep on printing money, it's hard to bring inflation down. The problem, as I see it, is if every time you raise the interest rate up 1%, you've got to come up with an extra $350 billion a year just to service your debt. Think of the ramifications of, let's say interest rates went up 4 more points to try to calm inflation. Then you'd have to come up with an extra $1.4 trillion a year just to service your debt. I mean, at some point, it's just not going to work anymore. And If they think the solution, the Fed thinks the solution is to just keep on printing money, it's going to have ramifications. It's going to reduce the value of our dollar even further than what's already happened. And there's going to be a breaking point. And though I've seen projection, oh yeah, by 2030, the debt's going to be 50 trillion. 50 trillion at 6% interest rate, you're talking $3 trillion a year just to service your debt.
Which is more than triple the national defense budget.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I read an article just this morning that said that as of late, we're 1.1 trillion right now. Interest payments for defense is like 860 or 870 billion. So at some point there's going to be a reckoning. Of that I'm sure. And it's one of the reasons why after I bought my Monte Carlo, I didn't stop stacking. That wasn't the only $420. I put a lot of money in, over a long time into accumulating precious metals. Because someday, I'm not doing it to make $1 million. All I'm doing it is to try to preserve my wealth.
That makes sense.
Sure.
Well, thank you so much for that answer. And I have yet another question for you. And basically, I would just go and ask, do you have a prediction for the financial system for Americans in the future and logistics, food, supplies, things like that? Do you have any prediction the next 5 years, 10 years? Do you think things are going to change in any way? What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I have a couple of 3 young lads that I like to talk to. They're brothers. And they're all highly intelligent guys, really good guys. And I go in and I talk to these guys and tell them some of the things I've been discussing with you here. The eldest son, Mitchell, he kind of calms me down because he says, Roy, it always takes longer than you think. Because some people, you want a prediction of what it might be 5 or 10 years from now. I don't know if I can even give you a prediction what could be true 5 months from now. It's a fluid situation, and everything takes longer than you think until it doesn't. Something could come out of the blue, some kind of a black swan, and just exacerbate the problem that we're already in. You look at the will of the politicians. You hear a lot of people talking about, we've got to balance the budget. Nothing gets done. If you tried to balance the budget today, you'd have to cut so much spending that you put the GDP in a deep contraction, into deep recession. How we're going to get out of this is not my concern. What my concern is to try to protect myself and tell others what they might be able to do to at least ameliorate the situation that may occur. And having precious metals to me is a must. Proven to me time and time again in the past that they go up, and there's a reason why they go up. I think someday the ratio will not be 80 to 1 anymore, it'll drop. And do that to protect my wealth. And you have to think of other things. Might it be a good idea to have maybe a year's worth of food, freeze-dried stuff, just in case something happens and there's a disruption in the supply chain? We saw it before. We got a little hint about that during the COVID days. So that's a good idea. Anything tangible assets. Maybe assets other people could use. I don't know whether it's food or put some money into a piece of land possibly. And I think in the future too, if certain things do occur in the economy and things get bad, I think certainly physical silver would be a good medium of exchange. I mean, back in 1969, I could take, or I should say back in 64, but they were still available. You could take 2 dimes and buy a gallon of gasoline. You could take 2 dimes and buy a pack of cigarettes. Well, those 2 dimes today, you can still get a gallon of gasoline. Can't buy the cigarettes because they tax the hell out of it. 2 dimes, go to Local Dave. He'll give you $4 and something cents, and then you will get your gallon of gas.
Mm-hmm.
So barterability will be important. Maybe even getting these little 1/10 ounce pieces. Depends what silver goes to. If silver goes to $200 an ounce, well, at least you got a $20 token in your hand that you can maybe buy some food or get some eggs from a neighbor. It will be a meaningful exchange someday, there's no doubt in my mind. I don't know if that answered your question specifically.
Yes, that is a great answer.
So Dave, I want to show you something.
Okay.
I've been at this a long time, analyzing and trying to bring this situation to people's attention. Here's a good example. New Hampshire Union Leader,
That looks like an old newspaper.
2010, March of 2010. And I penned an editorial for it. We're spending ourselves into financial oblivion.
Oh, look, you wrote it.
Yes.
There's your name.
Yeah. And the main point I was trying to say is, and this was back when I think our national debt was 12.4 trillion, now it's approaching 35. But the problem was the debt to GDP ratio was approaching 90%, and I speculated in this article that next year it was going to be like 94%. Trying to draw the attention to anybody that's willing to listen that once you get over 90% debt to GDP, you start to enter an economic twilight zone where natural growth gets very, very stymied. And you certainly go beyond that, and the economy it's going to stagnate, and growth will be hard to achieve. And eventually, if you get up to 120, 130, 140%, I think we're at 130% now. The only thing that's keeping everything going right now is $2 trillion a year deficit spending. We're looking at now, it's approaching the point where we're deficit spending $1 trillion every 100 days. Somebody said the other day, now it's 90 days. This can't go on. It's going to lead to, I don't even want to think about it. But it's not good.
No.
I wrote that, 13, 14 years ago.
And to think that it took them almost 100 years to get to 12 trillion deficit, and it only took them about 10 years more to get to 35 trillion.
Yeah,
so
chart it out. Where's it going? You talk about a hockey stick. Hockey sticks aren't good.
No.
They're good on the ice.
They're good on the ice.
Not the chart.
Not good on a chart.
Not that chart.
Oh boy.
That's
Wow.
part of our problem.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for sharing that data point with me.
Sure.
So, the next question that I have for you is, do you think that in the future, if there's a financial calamity, how do you see people buying supplies and basic essentials?
Great question. Certainly, if gold is at $10,000 and silver, say, I don't know, pick a number, $200, probably more than that, but having ounces of gold, I don't think is going to be much good. As far as maybe being able to procure items that you might need, I would think along the lines of silver, especially a small piece of silver. Dimes. I think we talked about the 2 dimes for a gallon of gas. We touched that subject. Another way, you can buy 1/10 ounce of silver now, and if silver were say at $200, well, at least you got $20. Now you can go to neighbor, get some eggs. You might be able to, I know of one store that I frequent often. I can take 35 cents down there, plop it down, and I get a nice big turkey sub. Because the man that owns the store, he knows the value of silver. So, along those lines, I think the smaller bits will come in very handy.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate that insight. I have to say, it's been such a great pleasure sitting here and hearing your story and seeing you. For folks that are watching, if you like this interview, if you think that this information might help a friend, please feel free to share this video with your friends. If you like this video, please like and/or subscribe to our YouTube channel, LocalSilverMint. Also, if you're interested in buying our silver products, I invite you to come to our showroom in Ware, New Hampshire, and see the rows and rows of display cases, products and prices clearly displayed. So if you're in the local area, or if you're a few hours away, I think you might enjoy coming to see our items in the showroom. And we have a lot of people who come from Massachusetts or Maine, and they drive several hours to come here and shop tax-free at our showroom in Ware, New Hampshire, LocalSilverMint. Or if you're not able to travel to our showroom, then you can buy our products online, like our 1/10 ounce silver for barters and trades. You can just click the link in the details below to buy from your favorite dealer online. And so thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Just remember to keep on stacking. All right.